Let's talk about the importance of goal setting, why most people don't do it, and how to do it right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another video. My name is Alex. Today I want to talk to you about how to set goals, what OKRs are, what SMART goals are, what the mistakes are that people make. So we've actually got a lot to cover today. So you might want to get a pen and paper going or open up a new document, take some notes, and let's try to get through this together. Let's actually leverage the energy, enthusiasm you've got right now, since it's probably still early in January in 2021. All right, let's get going. So first thing, the importance of setting goals. Some people know the importance of setting goals, others ignore it and think that they can just keep their goals in their mind or just think about roughly what they need to get done and it will get done. Sometimes that's the case, but for the majority of time, you can't get somewhere if you don't know where you're going. I've found that to be true in my life many times, but it also just makes common sense if you think about it. If you don't make a plan about what you're gonna do and where you're headed, then you're definitely not gonna get there. Right? That's just common sense. So if you don't set goals, you cannot really hope to affect any facet of your life in any meaningful way. Anything that happens might as well have happened from chance as it does from your actions. Hopefully you're with me there. What I've heard people then say is, oh, I know what I need to do. I don't need to write it down. That's the next step is, okay, you know you need to have goals and you decided that you're going to make goals and you make the goals, but then you don't write them down. You just sort of try to keep them in the back of your head. I just had a kid a month and a half ago and he might be yelling in the background, so I apologize for that. And it is about midnight when I'm making this video. The reason why you need to write these goals down is because, first of all, your mind can't remember everything, and second of all, it almost doesn't become real until you commit it to paper or some sort of documentation where your mind can let it go and you know you've captured it. So now let's talk about why most goal setting doesn't work. A big mistake that people make, and we'll talk about the SMART goals framework and the OKRs and how those work and best practices, but for now I just want to talk about this key concept here. Sometimes people think that goal setting is just setting your end state, what you'd like to happen, what you'd like to see in the world, or where you'd like to end up. But that doesn't really work for a lot of reasons. Number one is you can't really influence the universe so much as you can influence your own actions. So making plans for anything other than your actions in the near future is potentially so erroneous that it may as well be useless entirely. If your goal is to make $100,000, or if your goal is to be financially independent or find a job, that is an end state, if you think about it. That's not sufficient for optimal goal setting that will actually move you towards those destinations. That just establishes a place where you'd like to be and hold that. That's the vision, that's the outcome. That's fine, that's good to have. It helps you understand where you're going and maybe it helps you understand why you're going there. That's fine, but that's just one piece of it. You need to actually make a plan. Your goal setting should involve making a plan of actions. And those are the actions that you're going to hold yourself responsible for. So it's important that your goals are accompanied hand in hand with your plans for yourself, the actions that you take. Not the things that you expect to happen in the world, but the actions that you take. This is actually a good time to talk about a framework that you may have heard of as well called SMART goals. So let's talk about what it means to set SMART goals. We're going to talk later on about what OKRs are and what the mistakes that people make when they make goals. But right now, let's touch upon SMART goals. S, specific, M, measurable, A, achievable, R, relevant, and T, time-bound. And there's variations of those, but those are the ones we're going to talk about today. And the reason this is a useful framework to remember is that it does have all the components of what you should have in your goals and planning system. So let's talk about an objective. Specific. S is specific. Specific, meaning you want to describe the actions that you're trying to take specifically. It can't be, I want to make $100,000 or I want to be $100,000 richer. It has to be what specifically you're going to do, what this plan specifically calls you to do, when, how, with whom, why, etc. What is it specifically you're doing? You have to get specific about this. The M is for measurable. You need to be able to measure how much of this objective you actually captured. Because number one, you're not going to be able to know whether you did the thing that you want to do unless you're able to measure it in some way. And you can get creative about how you measure it. A lot of things can be manipulated in order to become measurable. Don't settle for goals and objectives that are not measurable, because you just won't know if you've accomplished them or not, how far you've come and how far you still have left. A is achievable. Make sure you set a goal or an objective for yourself that is actually achievable. A lot of the big tech companies will recommend setting goals that are right on the fringe of achievable. They are almost unrealistic, but we want to focus with something that is actually achievable, that you can imagine completing this. Keeping in mind everything else that is on your plate, everything else that you're doing, everything else you're committed to, all the other goals and objectives that you've set. R is relevant. Make sure that actually doing this has meaning, that it makes sense in the context of everything else that you're working on, everything else in your life, all the other projects and goals and objectives that you're setting. Very important. It can be specific. You know exactly what you're doing. It can be measurable. You know when you've done it. It can even be achievable, something that you can get done. But if it's not relevant, then it doesn't actually move you forward to the destination where you need to go. Finally, T, time bound. It has to be specific. 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, a year. I usually recommend setting goals at least a month and at most a quarter. Everything else becomes very murky to be able to actually meaningfully predict the state of the world and all of your projects. So usually in bigger companies, we set quarterly goals because there's so many moving parts and it takes certain times to organize things and align things among everybody. So a quarter is sort of the shortest time frame that we can get things done in a big company. If you are setting nimble goals for yourself, then I recommend monthly. You can have monthly check-ins with yourself, but for meaningful chunky goals, you usually need a quarter. And a year usually is far too long to make any kind of meaningful plans about what's going to happen. Usually I recommend setting them quarter to quarter for yourself. Personally, professionally, it should all be one concept. That is you. What do you want to change about your life? That is where you're getting the source material for your goals and objectives. Okay, so we talked about SMART goals. It's a very useful framework, very common framework. You don't need to study this further. Just take that framework and use it. It's got all the ingredients to make great goals. Use that. The mistake that people frequently make is that they make plans and objectives and goals that are not up to them, that are not based on their actions, that are based on the market going up 15%, or you getting a certain raise, or something else happening, some sort of a windfall occurring, or anything else. You want to make these goals and objectives based specifically on your actions, what is within your control. Leave all the stuff, everything that's in the news and has nothing to do within your area of control, completely out of it. Just set goals on what you can control. Can you walk to a certain destination? Can you do this? Can you lift this? Can you earn that? Can you make the calls? Can you make the product? Can you apply to certain jobs? Can you meet this many people, etc., etc.? Whatever the goals are, it has to be something that comes from you that you're doing. Now let's talk a little bit about OKRs. OKRs are a type of goal setting used in most tech companies today, most top tech companies today. They stand for objective and key results. Here's how it works in a nutshell. Objective is what you'd like to see in the world or in yourself or in your business or in your career or whatever. It's the objective. I would like to be healthier. I would like to have better relationships with my kids, or I would like to spend more time with my friends. I would like to be more prepared for retirement. I would like to reach financial independence. I would like to start a YouTube channel, whatever it is your objective. It is what you're trying to achieve. And key results are a set of parameters that tells you whether you have made it closer or have achieved your objective. And you can have multiple key results, multiple KRs for each objective. So if you're trying to impact your physical well-being, for instance, your key results might be how much sleep you get, how much exercise you get, what your diet is like, what your weight is like, any other parameters like that. And you want to make sure you understand the baseline where you are now, and you want to understand where you're trying to move the needle. Let's take fitness. A lot of people in the beginning of the year, I think appropriately so, take fitness. They take a goal for fitness. So you might want to say, I want to lose this many pounds, or I want to gain this many pounds of muscle. That's good. That's a fine key result. You can kind of track how it goes. But remember, that's not directly affected by you. There's components to that. So for instance, your weight is influenced by how much you eat, your nutrition, and how much you exercise, and what your actual life is like. So how much energy you spend and how much you take. And so it would be better to set key results for those, for instance, because that's something you can control. How much you eat, how much you exercise, how much you eat, how much you move, right? Those basic tenets. For instance, if your objective is to find a job at a top tech company, then your key results might be number of conversations with mentors, number of applications, number of referrals, number of interviews, number of offers. Those might be your key results. Those are the things that you're trying to affect. Whole books have been written on the subject of OKRs. They're a great alignment tool, but I recommend that you actually set those for yourself. Now is a great time to do it. Don't think too hard about it, meaning don't wait for the perfect plan or the perfect opportunity to make these objectives for yourself. Just put something down on paper or a Google Doc or wherever, where you're just saying, here's how I would like to change this aspect of my life within the next quarter. For instance, I have goals in 2021, first quarter, Q1 goals on health, wealth, relationships, family, and a few other aspects. And there's key results. I'm happy to go into more detail. If there's interest, let me know down in the comments. We can talk more about this at length during live streams, or we can do sessions. Once we hit 5,000 subscribers, we're going to do a Slack channel or a Discord channel where we can talk about things like that and actually share. It's actually a great idea to see if you can find an accountability buddy, someone that you can feel comfortable with, someone that ideally also wants to make goals, and then you can keep each other accountable to these quarterly results. Just knowing that you share these goals and objectives with somebody else usually gives you additional motivation to actually get things finished. Oh, another thing that I wanted to say about New Year's resolutions. Resolutions, not great. Planning, much, much better. Planning, goals, objectives, much, much better. Resolutions is like, I will do this or I won't do this. They're much harder to keep. They're very black or white. It's hard to track progress. You either do it or you don't. It's, for instance, people set diets or fitness regimens. So I would recommend to be a little bit more flexible, set quarterly goals, make sure they're following the SMART methodology. It's just a quick rule of thumb: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. And see if you can set them in OKR form, where you're setting the key objective. Here's what I want to accomplish, and here are the key results that will let me know whether I've made it or how far I've made it. If you like this video, make sure to smash the like button as always, and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the new videos. We're going to be posting a lot in the first 3 months. In fact, I have an OKR for that. And we're going to try to do live streams every Saturday starting from the beginning of January, where we talk about resume reviews, career advice, and things like that. If you've been thinking about setting goals, this is the perfect time. Do it. Take 15 minutes right now and jot down some work. Share this video with your accountability buddy. Work as a pair. That's the best way to do it. Let me know in the comments what your goals are. Let me know what you're struggling with. I read and respond to every comment. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.